China will ship you a finished pair of prescription glasses for $8. That is sandwich money. Meta just bet more than $4 billion on the company that sells you the same thing for $250. Same lenses, same hinges, sometimes the very same factory floor. The $8 pair is not the knockoff, and it is quietly killing the machine behind the $250 pair. The difference was never the glass. One company built that price, and it built the walls to keep it standing. It makes the frames. It owns the stores that sell them. It grinds the lenses inside them. It even runs the insurance plan that helps you pay. For 60 years, that machine decided what clear sight costs. Then, a Chinese city most people cannot find on a map started making half the lenses on Earth. But this time, the story does not end with cheap glasses. This time, Meta is standing inside the blast radius. This is the story of the most complete monopoly in consumer goods. The orphan from Milan who built it, one wall at a time. The city in China taking it apart, $8 at a time. And the $4 billion bet Meta just placed on the walls holding, right as they started to crack. This channel covers the machines that quietly run your life and what they cost you. If that is your kind of story, hit like and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. To understand how an $8 object learned to cost $250, you need the man who built the wall between those two numbers. He built it on purpose, and he built it from nothing. Leonardo del Vecchio was born in Milan in 1935. His father died 5 months before he was born. His mother could not feed her children on a widow's income, so at 7 years old, Leonardo was placed in an orphanage. He grew up with nothing, raised by nuns. At 14, he went to work as an apprentice in a tool and die shop, 12-hour days, hands cut by metal shavings. Most apprentices counted the minutes. Del Vecchio studied the metal. He discovered he had a gift for precision. Small parts, cut so exactly that they fit together, with no gaps and no rattle. And hidden inside that gift was the idea that would eventually reach into your pocket. If you make one small part better and cheaper than anyone else, you own a piece of the supply chain. Own enough pieces, and you own the product. Own the product, and one day you decide what it costs. In 1961, he moved north to Agordo, a small town in the Italian Alps, and opened a workshop called Luxottica. It made components for eyeglass frames, hinges, temples, bridges. The unglamorous metal sitting on your face right now. The parts business taught him the arithmetic that would define the next 60 years. A finished frame costs a few dollars of material and labor. The price tag is a separate invention entirely, and whoever controls the path from the factory to your face gets to invent it. So he climbed the path. Parts became whole frames. Frames became his own brands. By the 80s, Luxottica was one of the largest frame makers on Earth, and Del Vecchio had noticed the thing that turns a manufacturer into a monopoly. The money was not in making glasses. The money was in owning every step between the factory and the mirror. He started buying the steps. Retail chains that sold the glasses. Brand names that justified the markup. Lens makers. Each acquisition quietly closed another exit. If you wanted glasses, more and more of the doors led to the same man. Del Vecchio died in 2022 as the richest person in Italy, worth more than $20 billion. The empire he left behind is called EssilorLuxottica. In 2025, it reported roughly 28.5 billion euros in revenue, about $33 billion, and the market values the company near 90 billion. Those numbers are from the company's own reports. Hold on to them, because in a few minutes you will see what the internet keeps getting wrong about this story. But an empire of factories and stores was still not the finished machine. The finished machine had a third wall, one you have probably paid without ever seeing it. And to understand how the walls dealt with anyone who resisted, you need to hear what happened to Oakley. It sounds like something out of a mob movie. Start with the crown jewel. In 1999, Luxottica bought Ray-Ban from Bausch & Lomb for $640 million. At the time, Wayfarers were being sold at gas stations for around $30. Del Vecchio pulled them off the discount racks, killed the cheap licensing deals, tightened distribution, and relaunched the exact same silhouette as a premium product. Within a few years, the price had multiplied several times over. The frame did not change. The owner did, and every markup since has been living proof of his arithmetic. The price tag is an invention. But frames were only the first wall. In the 90s, he crossed the ocean and bought LensCrafters, the chain that put an optical store in every American mall, the place your parents probably bought their glasses. Then, 2 years into the new century, he added Sunglass Hut. Over 1,300 stores, the biggest sunglasses retailer on the planet. Follow what just happened. The man who made the frames now owned the counters they were sold across, on 2 continents. When the manufacturer owns the store, the shelf price stops being a market. It becomes a decision, which brings us to Oakley, the company that tested that decision. In the early 2000s, Oakley was the rebel brand. Athletes wore it, soldiers wore it. Oakley pushed back on Luxottica's pricing terms, and Luxottica simply removed Oakley from its shelves. Picture your biggest sales channel vanishing overnight, because the company that owns it also competes with you. Oakley's stock lost roughly 1/3 of its value. The message reached the entire industry. Fight the wall, and your shelf space disappears overnight. Oakley fought anyway, for a while. In 2007, Luxottica bought Oakley for $2.1 billion. The rebel brand now lives inside the empire it resisted. No brand challenged the pricing again. Then came the logos: Prada, Chanel, Versace, Armani, Burberry, Ralph Lauren, Dolce & Gabbana. Dozens of fashion houses license their eyewear to the same company. Walk into any optical shop and count the brands on the wall. You are not looking at competition. You are looking at a catalog. Different fonts, same factories. One owner, setting the price of every so-called rival pair, and letting the logos argue about style, while the invoice stays identical. And then the third wall, the one almost nobody notices even while they are paying through it. EyeMed, one of the largest vision insurance plans in America, more than 36 million members by its own count, belongs to the same company. Sit with that arrangement for a second. The company that sets the retail price also runs the plan that discounts it. Your $250 frames, the insurance that generously covers 100 of it, and the store that rings you up can all live on one balance sheet. The discount is not a discount. It is a toll booth painted like an exit. You did not negotiate a better price. You paid a membership fee for the feeling of one. In 2018, the last piece clicked in. Luxottica merged with Essilor, the dominant lens maker on Earth. Frames, lenses, brands, stores, insurance. One company, end to end, from the sand in the glass to the claim form. The machine was complete. Now, the correction you will not hear in the other videos about this. They call it a $165 billion monopoly. That number is real, but it is the size of the entire global eyewear market, not the company. The company's own accounts say about $33 billion a year in revenue, and a market value near $90 billion. It does not own the whole market. It does not need to. It owns the choke points, and choke points set prices for everybody, including the competitors squeezing through them. But 60 years of wall building carried one assumption, that there was no way around the walls. And 5,000 miles east of Agordo, a city you have never heard of, was quietly becoming the way around. The city is called Danyang. Population, under 1 million, a rounding error by Chinese standards. You have probably never said its name out loud. And by China's own official figures, this one city now produces over 400 million spectacle lenses a year. 75% of China's entire output. Roughly half of every lens made on Earth. 1,600 eyewear companies operate there. More than 50,000 people work the lines. There are whole streets where every shopfront sells frames, lenses, coatings, or the machines that make them. Nearly $3 billion a year, of glasses infrastructure packed into one small city. Danyang did not set out to kill anyone's monopoly. It set out to make lenses at volume. But volume has its own gravity. Here is the part that surprises people. The cheap pair is not the crude pair. Danyang lines run the same categories of technology the premium brands advertise. Multi-layer anti-reflective coatings, blue light filtering, UV protection, precision grinding. The $8 pair and the $250 pair are not separated by a laboratory. They are separated by a logo and a distribution system. And the gap between them is not physics. It is a business model. And understand what buying the $8 pair actually looks like, because there is no catch to find. You type in the prescription from your last eye exam. You pick a frame. A week or two later, an envelope arrives and the glasses work. No store visit, no insurance paperwork, no toll booth. The internet found the gap first. Zenni Optical, founded in 2003, ships prescription glasses from $6.95 and has sold more than 51 million pairs. Warby Parker turned $95 frames into a $6 billion public debut. The stock cooled later, but the price point never went back up. Every envelope that lands on a doormat with working glasses inside it, for the price of a sandwich, is a brick pulled out of the wall. And there are 51 million bricks gone from Zenni alone. While we are correcting numbers, the other videos on this story tell you 4.4 billion people need glasses. The World Health Organization's actual figures are these. At least 2.2 billion people live with a vision impairment, and roughly 800 million need glasses they still do not have. The real number is smaller, and it is worse, because the people the monopoly priced out did not stop needing to see, they stopped being customers. An $8 pair does not just undercut a price tag. It reaches hundreds of millions of people. The $250 system simply wrote off. The empire has noticed, and it is not dead. It remains the most powerful company in eyewear by an enormous margin, $33 billion a year, remember. But its pricing power now leaks at every edge that touches the internet. A monopoly's real product was never glasses. It was the belief that the price was normal. And when the question, "Why does this cost so much?" gets answered by a shipping confirmation, that belief does not grow back. And there is one more thing almost nobody talks about. While everyone watched $8 glasses eat the monopoly from below, Meta spent $4 billion climbing into it from above. Meta's problem was never software, it was faces. To put a computer on your face, you need frames people actually want to wear, factories that can stamp them out by the million, and stores where people try them on. In other words, you need everything Del Vecchio spent 60 years walling off. Mark Zuckerberg could build the AI. He could not build Ray-Ban. So in 2019, Meta went to the landlord. The partnership started quietly, camera glasses in 2021 that mostly took photos. Then the AI moved in, and the product caught fire. In 2025, EssilorLuxottica sold more than 7 million pairs of Meta AI glasses, more than triple what the previous 2 years managed combined. By this spring, Meta held roughly 69% of the smart glasses market, and the partners were discussing production capacity of 20 million pairs a year. For the first time since the smartphone, a new personal computer was selling in the millions, and it wore a 60-year-old monopoly's logo on the frame. Meta understood exactly how much it depended on that logo. In July 2025, it bought roughly 3% of EssilorLuxottica, about $3.5 billion. Reports since put the stake near 5%, worth over $4 billion, tied to an agreement that stretches into the next decade. Run that back. The company that owns your feed paid billions to own a piece of the company that owns your face, not to break the machine, to rent it. And the machine did what machines do. The second generation of the glasses did not get cheaper, the way electronics are supposed to. The price went up, $299 to $379. The display model launched at $799. 60 years of pricing logic, now running on a computer. Control the brand, control the shelf, and the price climbs because it can. Behind the curtain, it is not even friendly. Meta and EssilorLuxottica have been openly sparring over what the AI glasses should cost. The AI company wants scale, the eyewear empire wants margin. $4 billion bought Meta a seat at that table. It did not buy the table. For a while, the bet looked brilliant. Demand for the display glasses ran so hot in America that Meta pushed back the international launch. The company's own word for it was unprecedented. 20 million pairs a year moved from a fantasy to a production discussion. If you only read the sales chart, the second wall looks unbreakable. But you have already seen this part of the movie, so look east. Xiaomi launched AI glasses in China, starting around $280. Rokid undercuts Meta's display glasses by $200. And Rokid, not Meta, has been China's #1 AI glasses brand for 3 straight months. Chinese AI glasses sales jumped 80% in a year, heading for nearly 3 million units. The same supply chains that turned a $250 frame into an $8 frame are now pointed directly at the smart pair on Zuckerberg's face. That is the real story hiding inside the $8 glasses. The monopoly's first wall, the dumb frame, is already breached. Danyang saw to that. Meta just bet $4 billion that the second wall, the smart frame, holds. China is betting the pattern simply runs. Again, same quality, a fraction of the price, straight to your door. One of those bets is going to look very expensive within 5 years. And you are standing in the middle, because you are the prize. Your eyes, your wallet, and everything you look at, all day, every day. So walk back through what you now know. You know an Orphan from Milan built the most complete monopoly in consumer goods, and most people never noticed they were living inside it. You know one company can make the frame, own the store, grind the lens, and run the insurance that pays for it. You know a Chinese city you could not name 20 minutes ago makes half the lenses on Earth and will ship you a pair for the price of a lunch. And you know Meta just spent $4 billion betting that machine survives its second war. You can still buy the $250 pair. They look good. Style is real. If you can afford them, that is a real choice. And for the first time in 60 years, it finally is a choice, not the only door in the building. Because the answer to why glasses cost so much was never the glass. It was that one company decided they should, and nobody could stop them. Until an $8 envelope started showing up in the mail. If this changed how you look at the things sitting on your face right now, hit like and subscribe. The machines run deeper than glasses, and this channel takes them apart one at a time. Now the comments. Your next pair, $8 from the factory, or $379 with the logo. Does the logo still win?